Welcome back to Surviving and Thriving, where we share with you the things that we have learned as we have transitioned our family from struggling to survive disease to thriving right smack dab in the midst of it, in the hopes that something that we share with you will help you, enlighten you, and encourage you as you transition your family from struggling to survive disease to thriving right smack dab in the midst of it. When your world gets shook and upside down, right? And that's what happens a lot of times when you're dealing, or even pretty much all the time, right? When you're dealing with sickness, disease, chronic illness, health issues, it shakes your world up, right? Even in this environment that we're living in right now, where everybody's talking, COVID um, around the entire globe, right? It has shaken up the lives of so many people. Everyone, in some way, shape, or form, life has been changed by this or has been affected by this. Their normal has been thrown off a little bit by this, right? Um, and so, in these types of seasons, what you find is that you get a real good look at yourself. And sometimes you find things that you like, and sometimes you find things that you don't like. But it also teaches us what our priorities are in life. When you're limited in your resources, limited in your energy, your strength, and in your ability, you find out what is the most priority things in life to you. And oftentimes, sometimes, you find out that your priorities might not be right, that you have been prioritizing things that are not really valid priorities, not really priorities that you should have in life. And that can be a rude awakening. That can be very shocking at times. But the good part about it is once it's revealed to you and you see it, you can do the things that you need to do to make the changes that you need to make sure your life becomes more balanced and that you put first things first and make the things that should be priority and put some of those other things a little bit on the back burner, right? But that can actually be an unnerving realization to come into play. And when you get that revelation and you start making changes, it's not going to always be easy. There will be challenges when you start rearranging priorities because old priorities aren't going to let you just set them on the back burner like it don't matter. They're going to fight to stay on the forefront. And so it's not always an easy transition and it's not always an easy thing to do. However, it's always worth it. It's always worth the effort, the uncomfortability of making the changes to get your priorities straight in life. So, like right now, when we got this uncertain environment, are we opening? Are we not opening? Are we peaking? Are we declining? What's going on in this environment with dealing with this virus, with COVID, and all the other things that are going on in the world right now? Some things might come into the forefront of people's mind, things that they might not have wanted to have dealt with in the past that you might find that you have to deal with now. Like, for instance, perhaps some people are realizing that they're living way above their means because now, income has been affected, prices have been affected, availability of products have been affected, and you realize that you're in a world of hurt because you're living way outside of your means and you're so dependent upon a debt-based system that you find out that when one thing gets thrown off, it's hard for your family to make it, right? And then that affects your attitude and your mood, and now you're fighting, and it just leads down a really bad trail of things, right? And so maybe perhaps for those people, they might realize that they need to come down a little bit and live within their means, that there's some things they're spending money on that they're putting as a priority that's really not a priority, and that it's okay to have less and be happy and have love and have life than to have more and be stressed out, fussing and fighting and not have love because you're so overwhelmed by the debt and living out of your means that you're fighting all the time. And some people might also be realizing that it's probably a good idea to get out of debt right now, right? There are others that might be realizing that they have been dependent upon working for others, that when they're not able to work for others, they don't know how to make income. And so some might be realizing that it's a good time for them to learn how to produce, to see what talents and gifts that they have that they can maneuver and get what they need for their family without having to depend on someone else giving them a check. Some people are learning to barter more. Some people are learning, you know what, I bake good. Let me sell some of my baked goods, right? Some people are saying, hey, it's a good time to start dog walking. People are learning what talent and gifts that they have that they can do to produce, to be able to take care of their family. These are really good things, right? But there are some that are out there learning that because with everyone, fight or flight comes in when you're dealing with sickness, when you're dealing with disease, when you're dealing with COVID, right? And some are learning that they're stronger on the inside than they thought they were, and they have fight in them. Let's stand up to this thing. This thing is not going to take us out. We're going to do what we have to do. There are others that are having different levels of panic. Some are having panic attacks where they can't move, they can't think straight. Some are just flicking out, and some are just so full of fear that they're finding themselves fighting in grocery stores, fighting their loved ones. It's just manifesting in a lot of different ways. And when you see that, if that's you, you have to deal with that. You've got to deal with that. You've got to recognize where you are, get to the heart and the source of the matter, and deal with it. You know, my husband had went to pay our phone bill the other day, and he got back in the car and he told me that they said that a lot of people were increasing their TV packages and spending a ton of money, sparing no expense to make sure they have all the television that they can watch because they figured, well, if I'm going to be home, I might as well watch TV, right? When we go to the sports stores, you can't find weights. You can't find a lot of exercising equipment because a lot of people have really bought out all of the exercise equipment. There's so many things out there right now that if you want to purchase or become a part of or do something with, it's just totally sold out. Well, a lot of that is showing you where a lot of people's priorities are. They're home, they can't go to work, they can't get out. So hey, I might as well watch a lot of TV. Or hey, I might as well exercise, which actually could be a really good thing on the exercise part. But when your resources are limited, when your access is limited, when your time is limited, you're going to find out what your priorities are. Who are your priorities? Because wherever you're spending your time at now, whatever you're doing now is telling you what's important in your life. And I hope that you have found that people and love are priorities in your life. God, Jesus, hopefully he's a priority in your life. He's a priority in my life. But outside of the Father, your family and your friends, your health, your life should be a priority to you. Are you doing the things in a positive way for life? Because people out there fighting over some toilet paper, come on, y'all. Toilet paper is important, but it ain't that important. That's more of something else. That's fear. That's not, I love my family enough to make sure they have toilet paper. Because there's other ways to have toilet paper than, to be fighting somebody in life, putting somebody in the hospital because you want a roll of toilet paper that's going to end up being gone in a few days anyway. You're going to find out the things that are the most priority, and hopefully you're finding out good things that are priority. If you find that fear and that flight is rising up in you, you got to deal with the source of it. If you're looking around and you're seeing your priorities have not been straight, it's a good time to get your priorities straight. If you're finding that you've been living out of your means and it's causing a hardship on you, you might want to kind of get that back in place. I hope something in there was helpful for you. Remember, in all things, do you. Until next time, bye.